Hi guys. So, this story is very interesting. What is going on with my story? It's just like there's a ghost. There's a ghost, guys. My picture, it went away. Oh, there it is. So, anyway, the love of money can be the root of all evil. Seriously, you see these men, when they get a little bit of money in their pocket, their whole value system, behavior, morals, ethics completely changes. You see, let's talk about Todd Hill. Todd Hill, he was a married man, older man. He was married to this lovely woman here. Had a nice family, older gentleman, and had a nice family, and he was doing fine. And this was a time when he was a regular working man, didn't have much money, was a family guy. Hi, Dinah. And all of a sudden, when you give a man a little bit of money, their whole value system, their morals, their ethics change. And that's what's happened in this case. I mean, we've heard so much about Kevin Samuels polluting the mindset of men or endorsing and emboldening these men to basically devalue women, treat them as if they are no more than just a property, and engaging in polygamy and all these different sick things that they're into, and basically discarding the older woman who has been loyal and committed to these men for many years in marriage, and trading them in for their younger woman that they find to be high value. You heard that Kevin Samuels taught that the older woman is merely a leftover. But the sad thing, that concept is not merely one-sided. When a man becomes older, they fail to realize that these younger women that they are chasing after and trying to pursue in order for them to feel younger and feel empowered, those women really don't want them either. In fact, those young women merely see them as wasted, used products or leftovers, and they merely see them as someone that they can utilize for financial gain. So this is what happened in this case. Mr. Hill was a family man at first. He was married, working man. Then all of a sudden, he wins $10 million in 2017. As you can see here on the data check, August 25th, 2017, he wins some money. He wins $10 million. And all of a sudden, his loyal, committed wife no longer is of value to him. She no longer matters to him. His money has completely polluted his mind. And it has made him feel as though now he can trade her in or keep her around, because she might be too expensive to divorce at this point since he has $10 million. Trade her in for a younger woman. And see, these men that they do this, they want to engage in this type of what is called polygamy, right? And so what they expect from these women is they can be married, but they can date other women who are younger, because again, they have this financial gain. They're basically paying for these younger women. But the women cannot date other individuals themselves. So it's this one-sided hypocritical mindset that, oh, I can have a married wife. I can cheat on my wife, because who knows if his wife knew about this other woman. And now I have a little bit of money, so now I'm considered a high value man because I have $10 million. So my faithful, loyal, committed wife, who has been there for me through thick and thin, through the times when I had no finances, she is no longer any value. She is considered a leftover woman. And now I'm going to trade her in or keep her around, because she's expensive, but just trade her to the side because she's a used product, basically. And I'm going to trade her in for a new product, younger, 23 years old, doesn't have much usage on these new tires. I mean, this is how they treat women. Your product. You are a product. So he's trading in the used tires for the newer tires. 23-year-old new tires, not much usage on the tires. And he expects this tires to be committed to him, despite the fact that he is a married man. despite the fact that she is not the only one, and she will never be the only one. The hypocrisy. And it's sick because Kevin Samuels has polluted these men's mind that once they acquire financial gain, financial prosperity, they now can basically, it emboldens them basically to basically treat women like products, like they don't matter, like they don't have any value. And it's just sick because this man here, Mr. Michael Heel, was once a good, family, loyal man until he got a little bit of money. So let's talk about what happened, and we're going to talk about what ended up being this man's fate, because the word talks about the love of money is the root of all evil. And as you can see, that's kind of what happened with Kevin Samuels. He was, a man making $900 a month, living off of his different 2 wives, didn't have much money. These women were the breadwinners in the household. And then all of a sudden he goes viral, makes a little bit of money. And now the women that he once was married to or in that age bracket are no longer of any value because those women were only valuable to be able to financially support him. But because now he had some finances, he went viral and has some YouTube money. Now that age group is now considered a leftover, and now he's going to trade in those older leftovers for the newer product, the younger woman. But as I was saying, what these men fail to see is that these younger women perceive these older men as the same way that they perceive the older women. They merely perceive these older men as someone that they can use for financial gain. That's why you notice these younger women, they're not going to date you, older men, if you don't have money to spend on them. If you're broke and you don't have any money to pay their bills, buy them nice things. I mean, look at Wendy. What's her name? Wendy Williams? What's that girl? But I think her name's Wendy. The Wendy Show, whatever. I don't know her last name, but y'all know her last name. Look at her husband. He had him a younger woman. He was having an affair on Wendy with the younger woman because he was using Wendy's money. Younger woman. And this younger woman, she was not interested in him. I don't care what anyone says. She was interested in the paycheck, the money, Wendy's money. And because this man had money, he was able to buy her house, buy her all these different things. That's the reason why this younger woman, this younger mistress, was willing to hang around. So that's the issue that we see in the manosphere. They preach this gospel of women who are over 35 are considered used products, blah, blah, blah. But they don't realize that that same concept applies to them. So merely they are only in the eyes of younger women. And I know this because I don't date older men, but my sister does. And she purposely does, merely solely because of their financial status. That's it. There's no interest. She even says that the sex is really bad. She said the sex is bad. I mean, they can't get it up. Like, it's just awful. But the finances, it's the money. He takes her out, buys her things. That's the only reason why she's with these guys. And that's typically what younger women do. They're dating the older guys, several decades older than them, because they have the money. They have the clout. They have the ability to pay their bills, buy them whatever they want. And they'll sleep with them. That's a part of the job, unfortunately. It's that 1099 perception or 1099 concept that Kevin Samuels talked about. They'll sleep with them because that's a part of the contract, allegedly. But in the reality, they owe in their mind, they owe no commitment or loyalty to you because they don't really want to be with you. They just want your money. So these women are not going to be committed to you. And these older men think in their mind that they found love. They think in their mind they found love, but they don't realize they're just paying for, companionship, for sex, basically. That's what they're paying for. They're paying for a younger woman who can give them sex. And, they're paying their bills. It's a 1099 essential relationship. Even if they don't report these women on their taxes, that's essentially what it is. So these men, they build this deception in their mind and misconception in their mind that these younger women really want them. And so when they find out the reality of it, that they have been played, and these younger women actually have men that are their age that they're truly interested in, and they're probably taking the money that the older man is giving them and sharing it with their man that is their age that they're actually in love with, then that's when they become enraged. They lose all rationality, and then they engage in violence and take the life of these younger women. And that is essentially what happened to Michael Hill. See, Hill's head became so big when he won this $10 million. He totally abandoned his wife, picked up this younger woman, and in his delusioned, in his misconceived mind, he thought that this younger 23-year-old woman truly was into him and wanted to be with him. She had a nice career too. She had her own money. But I'm telling you, no, this woman was not with him because she was interested in him. She was with him because he had a little bit of money in his pocket, But on the side, she had the man that she really was interested in. And another thing, a lot of these men who are in the manosphere, they're trying to cloud and try to condition Black women and women to accept this sick polygamy type thing. They want you to accept their mess. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to be faithful. They just want to be able to do their dirty work in front of you without you complaining. Okay, they want you to stop complaining and just take it. But the thing is, they don't want it to be done to them. That is the sick part of this. It's sick. So, you can engage in polygamy. You can have a wife and multiple women, but the woman can't do it. She can't have multiple men. And that's what this man, Mr. Hill, thought. He thought he could have a wife at home, that he just sits there at home, keeps her around, because if he knows if he divorces her, then it's going to be more expensive to divorce her than to keep her around. So he keeps her around, But he gets this woman that he is younger. They're considered fresh tires. I just call them fresh tires because that's what these men see. They see you as a product. You're not a human to them. You're not. You're just what they can use. All right. But they expect this unfair reciprocation of faithfulness and loyalty, despite the fact that they're not able to provide it back. And so that's what happened in this case. So for over a year, this happened out in North Carolina. Let's go ahead and read an article, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the discussion in the chat. But for over a year, this man, he wins $10 million. It gets to his head, He's feeling himself. He made a little bit of money. And, so he thinks he's going to go ahead and purchase him a younger 23-year-old woman. And I say purchase specifically. I'm very intentionally using the word purchase because that's what he essentially did. He's paying for this woman's companionship with the $10 million that he has. So he thinks he's going to purchase him a 23-year-old woman. And his expectation is, I'm pretty sure she knew he was married. And she didn't have his complete heart attention. So, she's like, okay, well, I'm not going to give this man my attention. Besides, he's on the older end. And like I said, younger women do perceive older men as used product, wasted. I mean, leftovers. They just see you as a paycheck. I know this because I'm a younger woman, and I know a lot of younger women who date older men for the finances. If they got a good job, they're considered high value. Allegedly, what Kevin Samuels described as a high value man, they will utilize these older men for their financial gain. The only thing is, this woman did have a nice career. She had her own money, but it doesn't hurt to have a little extra paycheck, coming in. Get your nails done, whatever you need to get done. That extra paycheck is pretty cool, All you gotta do is just give him a little cookie and you're good, That's about it. And then you can get your other man that you're actually really interested in, that you see you can actually have a relationship with. Because I'm pretty sure she knew she wasn't going to have anything long-term or a marriage with this man because this man's married already. And we already know in the United States that polygamy is illegal. But yet these men, and they're particularly in the Black community, they're trying to push this agenda on women now to accept their cheating ways, and they're trying to replace cheating with the concept of polygamy. It's sick. It's sick, and it really, to me, is really starting to confirm the word of God, what he talks about in the end days and Timothy, and how just men will become lovers of themselves, and they engage in all this sick orgies and sick stuff. It's manifesting. It's sick because now the enemy has reared its ugly head and is now just being open with it. Before, they would sneak around, cheat with other women. Now they're trying to condition Black women to accept it. Let me go ahead and move this other woman into the house. That's what they're saying. And you need to accept it. And what they're doing is they're perverting the word of God and trying to use religion to brainwash these women. Okay, so this man here, like a lot of these older men, they think they're going to get these younger women. They, in their delusion, in their clouded mind and then clouded judgment, they think that these younger women really are into them. But they don't realize all they are is merely a financial resource. So let's talk about this guy. So a North Carolina lottery winner of $10 million back in 2017 has been sentenced to life in prison. Yes, life, over the fatal shooting of his girlfriend. So karma in the end, and a lot of these men in the manosphere, they're going to end up in prison. A lot of them are going to end up in prison because they're taking out these black women left and right. It is in a crazy frenzy right now. You need to be watchful, women. You need to be prayerful and be careful who you get involved with, because these men in the manosphere are just taking out women left and right. All right. So a lot of them are going to end up in prison. We already know how the judicial system is as it relates to the black community. They do not give any form of lax sentencing. They're very harsh on sentencing. It doesn't matter really what you do. If you're in the judicial system and you are a black person, they will throw the book at you. So these individuals are not going to get any form of shortcut. If this man was probably another color, I don't think he would get life. He may have got like maybe 25 years to life with a possibility of parole, you know, that kind of opportunity if there's a possible hope, because he doesn't have a criminal record. This man, no, he's black, life in prison. Hands down. That's what he got. And that's what a lot of them are going to get. You're going to see a lot of these happen. It is not going to get any, the murders and the things that we're seeing is not going to get any less. It's just going to get worse. I really do believe, as being a woman of God, that this is the signs of the end coming near. I know people don't believe in that stuff, but I do. I'm a woman of God. I'm just going to speak how I feel, because the things that are happening is what I've read in the Bible pretty much. And a lot of these men are now pushing this polygamy type agenda. It's very sick. And it's they want to cloud it, and they want to try to utilize the Old Testament to say that's what God purposed. But no, it's not. God talks about in the New Testament that, you know, those that engage in orgies and stuff like that, adultery, they will be in the lake of fire. He vocally says that in the New Testament. So that is my indication that he is not for polygamy. He's not. So they want to keep pushing the lie. Go ahead. I will pray for you, but you're down the wrong road. So this man, 2017, he wins his $10 million. He becomes allegedly a high value man. 2017 to now, that is at least enough time to make that $10,000 per month. If you divide that money up, it could be more than $10,000, 10 million, of course. He's definitely considered a high value man, allegedly. Okay. So now he's going to be spending his whole life in prison. And notice how there is no possibility of parole, because again, the color of his skin basically removes any form of possible leniency in his sentencing. So Michael Todd Hill is 54 years old. He was convicted on Friday of first-degree murder of Kiana Graham. She's 23. Look at that age gap. That's what you see a lot of with these older men. Older men, as they get older, I mean, even men in their 30s, they do it too. But as they get older, they really tend to want the younger women. But these younger women, they may pretend like they want to be with these older men, but they really just want the money and the things that they're spending on them. That's really what the ulterior motive is. And most of the time, these women have their side boos, the men that they're really with. And they're taking the money that these older men are giving them, and they're sharing it with their younger boo that's pretty much their age, that they're actually truly interested in. And sometimes the younger guy is on board for it. He's laughing and knows the whole situation and laughing all the way to the bank with that older man's money. Sometimes they're in agreement with it. I've seen that happen also. So she's 23. So she was reported missing on July 20th, 2020. So this man he had his $10 million for, what is that, 18, 19, 23 years. He's had, been making this pretty much money. And as soon as he got it, he was into finding his younger woman, was, sleeping around with her for over a year. 2020, she goes missing. Her body was eventually found in a hotel, because you notice how he had a wife. He had a wife. So he's sleeping with this woman over a year in a hotel. So that is pretty much, these married men reduce you women down who are into this polygamy stick type of stuff to a hotel room. That is your value, in a hotel room. They're not going to leave their wives. You are going to be reduced down to a hotel room and merely a paycheck. So in reality, you're merely a prostitute. Sadly, because you're getting paid for sexual exchanges. That's really what this is. But they expect complete loyalty, even though they're married. It's just sick, right? So she had a gunshot wound to the head. So the fact that he went for the head, that gives the intent to kill. So that's why he was charged with first degree. He went straight for the head. That is a vital area that is more than likely, 99.9% of the time, to result in death. So that gave them their strong evidence to go for a first degree charge. And as I told you, even though he had a clear criminal record before this, the fact that he is a black man in North Carolina, they threw the book. No possibility of parole. Hill had reportedly been dating Graham for more than a year at the time of the killing. Surveillance footage from the hotel showed Hill as the only individual in the hotel room with Graham. Prosecutors said in the release, according to the publication, noting that the former nuclear plant worker. So, like I said, this was before he won this lottery. This man had a nice job. He was a nuclear plant worker. I guarantee he was a good, loyal, faithful man, more than likely, to his older wife. You know, she was faithful and loyal to him, even though he was a nuclear plant worker. He's making nuclear plant workers probably make a decent income, but they're not high value. They're not making that $10,000 per month. So they're just an average man, basically. Most men are average men. I don't know where Kevin Samuels came with this whole high value thing, because all of his viewers, the men, were not high value. None of them. I'm sorry. Maybe 1.1 maybe of them were, if they were celebrities or basketball players, but if they weren't in that area, most of them were just average men, if not low value. And more than likely probably would have never got to the high value status. $10,000 per month for 5 years or 3 to 5 years. I don't know. Not many people are in that bracket. But anyways, this man's just an average man, you know, nuclear plant worker, had a nice wife. All of a sudden he gets $10 million. It gets to his head. Now he wants to discard his leftover, a woman that he was married to, right? She's leftover now. He's used her up for many years. He wants something new. All right, he got his money. He can go ahead and pay for some new tires. I call them new tires, right? So he's later arrested by law enforcement in Southport, North Carolina, and confessed to shooting Graham after she had been texting other men while at the hotel. So what gives this man, who is married, the right to get mad at this woman, who was more than likely using him for his finances? What gives him the right to now want to take her life because she's texting other men when he is not fully committed to her, and he has reduced her down to merely a hotel room? What right does he have? Why does he feel he has the right? And that's how a lot of these men in the manosphere feel. They feel that they can engage in polygamy, have multiple women sleeping around. That's why we see so many STDs in the black community and the high rate of HIV in the black community, because these men want to go ahead and dip and dabble and with multiple women. That's why they want to do polygamy. I don't care what this whole lie about, oh, you know, I am so, you know, I'm married, but I'm thinking about this other woman and all, and I'm thinking about these other women while I'm married. And so that's why God wanted me to be a polygamist. No, that is you having an inability to have self-control and a lack of respect or consideration for your wife, and you want to just engage in your fleshly perversion, probably addicted to some porn or something. You want to engage in that sexual perversion without being called out for it. But then you want these women who are merely reduced down to a hotel room and a paycheck and just used as a mere object, sex toy basically. You expect these sex toys, allegedly, that's what they are. I'm just saying. That's what their mindset is. They're not going to tell you that, but that's what they really are treating you like, the behavior. All right? They expect the toys to be committed to them. So now that she's texting other men, which she rightfully, in my opinion, has the right to do, because he is not giving her complete loyalty. He is married, a married man, and he's sharing his heart with Kiana and then the wife. But he has the audacity to get mad at this woman and shoot her in the head because she's texting other men. But that's what I'm saying. These older men who have this money, they think that they can buy love from these younger women and buy loyalty, and you can't. You are merely considered in their mind a leftover man. I'm sorry. A leftover man with a paycheck. That's really what it is. And then they got their younger man who they're truly into. So that's what I'm saying. This man had no right to take this woman's life because she was texting other men. How dare he and the other men who think like this with this polygamy type mindset, how dare them try to tell these women who are just merely mistresses, who are reduced down to a hotel room and a paycheck, 1099 relationship, how dare you now take this woman's life because she's doing the same thing you're doing to her? If you want to be in this polygamy type thing, which I'm a wholeheartedly against, because as the word of God says, it's against it. You need to be monogamous. But if you're into that sick perversion, then you need to permit your spouse to do the same thing. Okay? The same thing. It goes both ways. Treat others how you would like to be treated. That is an old saying. It's common sense. It's something that if you were raised well, you were taught as a child. It's a very old saying. But a lot of these sick men is sick. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's in the water, guys. But something just changed. Maybe it started with the pandemic when Kevin Samuels came out and started teaching all this polygamy, but he emboldened these men who already were thinking like this. They already were thinking like this. So we can't really blame Kevin Samuels for this. It's not really his fault. He just merely spoke out what these sick men have been thinking the whole time. You see, they've been so weakened by their flesh. A lot of men just go around thinking about sex. That's all they think about all day. They're undressing women in their mind all day long. That's all they think about all day. That's it. They walk around and they don't see the soul of this woman. They don't see what she can offer them, internally and all other things. They only see her body and what he can do to her body. It's so sick sometimes. And I get it. God made men like that. So it's just the way it is. He did, make them a visualist. That's understandable. But the thing is, the men don't want to learn how to gain self-control over the flesh. They don't want that. It feels like it's just mere laziness. They just want to just be free to be whatever they want to be free to be a HO. Just gonna say, free to be a polygamist, free to sleep around with all the women they want with no protection. That's why we got all these STDs floating around. And they don't want the women to say anything about it. That's why you will go on YouTube and it's very sick. I just don't even like being on YouTube anymore. Because all I see is polygamy, polygamy, polygamy everywhere. If it relates to a black man's YouTube, they're pushing polygamy left and right. And it really saddens my soul because I know God is not pleased with that. I can see that God's really heartbroken by seeing all this sick stuff going around. And then they're trying to steer these women and condition them to think you will not get a man. You will die alone if you do not get with the program. And if you do not get with the program, meaning you have to lower your value, share this man, and don't expect to be number one. He has to be number one. But you never should ever dare expect to be number one in his life. You have to share him. And you cannot dare to even think about dating out of the relationship. Even though he's doing it, you can't do it. Does that sound right to you? Does it? Just tell me in the chat. Does that sound right? What if we flipped it around and the women said, I want to be in polygamy. I want to have multiple men. I have this fleshly desire for multiple men, even though I'm with you. I just undress men in my mind. And so I believe that God has called me to have multiple husbands. But you can't do it. Okay, you can't do it because, you don't feel the way I feel. Because that's kind of what their excuse is. You need to submit to me. You need to love me like Christ loved the church. And your love means you have to give me what I want. And that is, I want multiple men. Because I can't control my flesh. I am not willing to love you enough to respect you as a human being and not merely a sex object, I am not willing to give you any value. I'm just merely going to succumb to my weaknesses because you don't matter. My feelings matter more than you because you're not human to me. You're merely an object. You're only here to cook, clean, please me physically, and take care of my kids and birth me a son or a daughter or whatever you want, whatever gender they're looking for. Birth me a kid. That's how they reduce women down to. If you just go to these different YouTubes, it's so sick. It's so sad. I'm just thinking about giving up YouTube. I'm like, the stuff that I have seen is just like, man, women are not considered human in the mind of these sick men, some of the men out here. Not all of them, just some of them that have the sick kind of manosphere kind of agenda. They don't see you as human. You're just merely an object that needs to provide benefit to them. So this North Carolina man, like I said, he got lucky. Now he is expending the rest of his life. Look at him. The rest of his life. That's why I believe the word of God says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. When people get a little bit of money, you can really determine the character of a person once they get a little bit of money. Just give them a little bit of money. See how they act. Notice how some people, how they'll behave when they get their paycheck. All of a sudden, they'll be calling you all day, but as soon as they get that paycheck, you can't even get a hold of them. Calling them left and right, and the phone goes straight to voicemail. All of a sudden, you no longer matter to them. You really can determine the character of a person just by giving them a little bit of money. So this man, he's just sick. So he reportedly admitted to killing Graham, again, because she was texting other men. On Friday, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, 22 to 36 months in prison for possession of firearm by a felon to run concurrent with his life sentence. Okay, I didn't know this detail. Possession of a firearm by a felon. So that could mean that he had a prior record. And he was a felon. He had a prior record. That's why they added the enhancement. I thought this man had a clean record. So he obviously already had some issues, guys. He already had some stuff going on with him by a felon. To run concurrent just means basically it's going to run at the same time of his sentence. But that really doesn't matter because this guy's spending the whole rest of his life in jail. The black man doesn't really live that long as we're seeing with the statistics. So he's about 53. So he doesn't have that much left. I'm just saying. He doesn't have that much left. So the remaining of his short years, he's going to be, and given the low quality of life that these prisons offer, I don't know, he probably won't be around too long. The district attorney's office would like to thank our law enforcement, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. They want to thank people. They do the Academy Award stuff. 5 years ago, Hill won $10 million from a scratch-off ticket he purchased at a local gas station. He received a lump sum of $4.1 million after federal taxes. Dang, that was a huge chunk. Federal taxes took all that man's money. So that's just basically the story. Let's chat about it, guys, in the chat. I would love to hear what you guys think about this story, but it's just sick. It just teaches us what's going on in the mindset of these men. They think they can buy the loyalty of these younger women when in reality, it is merely reduced down to a 1099 relationship, like what Kevin Samuels was saying. You pay them some money and you get the exchange of services that you want, but yet they expect this unrealistic loyalty that they're not entitled to. Because if you treat someone poorly, then you only can expect what you're giving out. And the sick thing is they want it one-sided. Everything's one-sided with them. The expectations, the treatment, the way that they look at women as mere objects and that can provide goods and services for them. And you're not human anymore. I don't really see too many human interaction anymore. Just mere objects and what can you do for them? A job interview. What can you do? Can you cook, clean, whatever? Can you, satisfy me in the bedroom? That's really what services can you provide? That's really what it is. So what do you guys have to say about this? His value didn't change. He was always a POS. Chanley, you could be right, girl. Yeah, he probably was a POS. And he also was a prior felon. But sometimes even though he was probably a POS from the beginning, a lot of them will suppress the POS tendencies, and then all of a sudden when they get a little money, what was inside of them comes out. Because see, he didn't have the money to show his face. He was with his wife. He probably was depending on her as well. And he didn't have really much he couldn't go out and afford a younger woman, because like I said, a lot of these relationships are financial exchanges, just financial relationships. So he couldn't afford to go out and pay for some younger woman. So, at that time, even though he was a POS probably from the very beginning, he couldn't go out and act upon what he really wanted to do. So he was being that little, everyday husband until he got a little bit of money. Now he can afford to go purchase, in my opinion, this younger, fresher face, 23-year-old woman. He must have thought the money gave him power to control the mistress. That's not how it works. Exactly, Dinah. Hi, Dinah, sweetie. Thank you so much for your support, Dinah. But yeah, you're right. He thought that the money, when I told you, when money get in their hand, they think it's power. And they can just reign and rule over people with their money. And that's what you're right, Dinah. He thought the little money was going to give him that loyalty. And he got in his feelings seeing this younger woman as merely his object, his property, because he paid for it. One thing you got to understand too, what we talked about in the earlier video, be careful, be very, very careful when you let men spend money on you. Very careful. I wouldn't recommend it, because when men start spending money on you, they start to see you as their property. And the minute you start rejecting them, saying you're not interested, they can turn enraged and become violent, and they will take your life sometimes. That happened in a situation back in Florida. There was this beautiful young woman. She was a freshman in college. She was working, I guess, I don't know if she was a landlord, but wherever she was working in the housing for an apartment where she lived her first year of college. And there was this maintenance man that was completely obsessed with her. And there were some allegations from the family that he was paying her money. And even on her Instagram, she bragged about, this man spending money on her. And apparently he said, allegedly, that he was paying all of his retirement, life savings on this woman, allegedly. And so she wasn't really feeling him like that. She kept rejecting him, but she took the money though. He was paying for her lunch, all kinds of stuff. The fact that she took the money, this man felt she owed him something. She was taking the money, bragging about it, whatever, and wasn't interested in him, shot him down like, I'm not interested in you, but kept the money though. That's the problem. You start taking these men money, they think you owe them. And some of these men who are mentally ill, who have really sick, deranged minds, that will enrage them and they will take you out. So you got to be very, very careful when you are letting men spend money on you. Very careful. Because they see any type of form of investment, men are very stingy with their money. So if they're putting money on you, spending money on you, they have this, some of them are really sick, but they have this mindset that you owe them, or you're their property, or whatever their sick mind is in their head. But you owe them, you're their property. So you can't be thinking, oh, I'm young and cute and all that, and I'm going to be getting all this older man's money, and I can go ahead and do whatever I want. You got to be very careful about that. It's cute for a little while. But if you meet the wrong one that's sick in the mind, he will take you out. And that's what happened in this case. He was spending all kind of money on her for over a year. Who knows how much money he spent on this woman after a year of sleeping around with her. So at this point, the more money he put into this woman, the more emotionally invested he became in her. It was like a stock. You put money into a stock or a share, whatever, NFT or Bitcoin, whatever you put money in. The more money you put in it, the more value it becomes to you. So that's what he was investing into this woman financially. And so she became his property in his mindset. And so that makes them even more enraged when they realize they're not the only one. Even though I don't feel he was entitled to even expect that, knowing how he was treating her and sharing her with his wife or whatever, reducing her down to a hotel room. But They think in their head that once they start spending this money on you, you become their property and you owe them complete loyalty. And if you get with the wrong one, they will take you out. They will take you out. If you think, oh, I got this money, it's cute and all, and they will take you out. There's too many stories of it. Just got to be very careful who you allow to spend money on you. That's like one thing my mom always taught me is to always have your own. Always, make sure you have money to pay and support yourself. Don't depend on a man. I know some of you guys know that. Don't depend on a man, because when you start depending on the man, sometimes if they're delusional in their head, they can become irrational. And the minute you say, hey, I'm not interested, you want to walk away, they lose their mind. You're their property. They've invested a lot into you. You're their stock. They invested all this money into you. And now you want to leave the relationship? Not my investment, just walking off. That's how they think. If I can't have you, I spent all this money on you, I'm going to take you out. So you got to be very careful that the cute thing of being young and cute and getting these older men thinking you're going to, just reap the benefits of their finances is not always a good thing. You got to try to have your own finances and really be careful who you accept money from. Because I've seen too many stories like that. And that story, I know you guys heard about that story in Florida. The man was obsessed. But when I heard about him spending money on her, that's when I knew that was one of the root issues. Or he already was a sick man before this happened, because he already had threw a weight into the window of another woman who rejected him. But this man became even more. Notice how in that case, he let that situation go. This woman, he didn't let this one go. He took her out because he had been spending all this money. He's basically allegedly from the family. They're saying he was using all his life savings on this woman, going broke. He laughed it off and denied it, but he probably more than likely did. And I seen one of her Instagrams or whatever post it was. She was bragging about some man spending all this kind of money on her, buying her all this name brand stuff. And I knew that was one of the root issues. It enraged him that he felt he was paying all this money and wasn't getting any payback on his return. He wasn't getting any return from his investment. And she was playing, in his head, this is what he's saying. I'm not saying she was doing this, but in his head, he's thinking she's playing around, using him for his money. And so that enraged him. And he ended up taking that poor, beautiful woman's life. And she was just gorgeous, just sad, just full of life and loved by so many people. And he ended up taking his own life too. I know you guys have heard that story. That was a big viral story that was being talked about. So everyone, oh, hi, Daniel. Hi, sweetie. In his mind, if he cannot have her, no one else will. Selfish mindset. Exactly, Daniel. In his mind. And it makes it even more selfish, Daniel, is that this man was a married man. He wasn't even valuing this woman. He reduced her down to a hotel room. That's where they met. It was just hotel room for over a year. He wasn't willing to leave his wife. He was just going to just use her as his little sex toy, but he expected her to be faithful to him, even though he over here with a whole wife. It's just sick, you guys. Ugh. Hi, Ellen. Someone tried to tell me that the polygamy is his sexuality. I know, it's just like, see, Ellen, all this stuff is just expanding so much that they now are making polygamy a sexuality. Instead of really dealing with their sick, cheating ways, they're changing it to, polygamy. And this is my sexual preference. Right, like it's being gay or something. Exactly, Ellen. It's how it's expanding now. It's going to become a whole sexuality now. See, it's going from now, the LGBTQ, now it's going to be a polygamy. That's going to be a whole new thing. There's probably going to be protests and all these things to make the country embrace this polygamy lifestyle. It's starting out. It's just starting out in the Black manosphere right now. But it's going to spread. And they're going to protest and probably take it to the Supreme Court and say, you are discriminating against my preference to have multiple wives. And it is my religion. And so you have to accept my religion and my preference to have multiple wives. They're just starting it up. It's starting now. You are now seeing the beginning phases of a movement that is going to develop. It's going to start out with the manosphere trying to condition the women like they're doing now. Just go look on the YouTubes, Ellen. If you go fish around into the Black community, I know you're probably not used to going to our side of town, our YouTube town, girl. But if you just kind of fish around and watch some of the stuff, you'll see some sick stuff online, girl. I don't even encourage you to watch it because it's just so discouraging. But they're conditioning right now. They're shooting it out like crazy, Ellen. It started out with one little seed. Well, one little seed that was talking about it with Kevin Samuel. Now you'll notice all these different channels are talking about polygamy. They're just trying to teach the women right now. They're in the whole lecture phase to get women to start accepting it. Once they can brainwash the women to get on board with them, then they're going to make it a whole movement. Then you're going to notice protests. You're going to notice all these people out here saying that polygamy is a sexual preference and that the country has been discriminating historically against people who have this sexual preference to have multiple wives, and it is unconstitutional to deny them the right to practice their religious preference of having multiple wives. We are in the beginning stages, guys. It is very sad. And the only way we can really fight back is if women stop going to these YouTube channels, and if they get enough women on board, then it will become a movement. If they get enough women that are willing to engage in this sick perversion, and it really, all it is reduces down to just somebody who is unable to control their sexual desires and are not willing to just be faithful to the wives that they have committed to, that they have given their vows to. They don't want to do that. They just want these women to let them do what they want to do while the women have to be committed to them. That's what they really want. But you're right, Ellen. You said it, girl. You said it. You spoke it first. So if this stuff starts developing, we'll be like, Ellen, she called it. She called it. Right, Ellen. You are really the same person, whether you're rich or not. You're right, Ellen. So I really believe, like one of the people were saying up at top, that he was already a POS, but he didn't have the financial means to basically engage in his POS conduct. He didn't have the money to do it. So he couldn't do it. He couldn't go out and have, this other mistress, younger 23-year-old at the time, because he didn't have the money to afford her. Like I said, the younger women who are dating these older men are usually doing it 90% of the time. I'll say 90% because 10% sometimes they'll like you. But most of the time, the younger women who are engaging in these men who are in their 50s or 60s or whatever, they're doing it for finances because the man has money. You got to have money to be able to get these younger women. So he didn't have the money at the time. He was just a plant worker. Probably only had enough to bring home to pay for the bills of the house, keep the house afloat. But he didn't have any extra income coming in to pay for a younger woman. But as soon as he got the lottery, now that POS, the stuff that was in him the whole time, now he could now live out his darker side because he had the money to pay for it. So I do agree with Chanelli. I hope I said your name right. I'm so sorry, Chanelli or Chanelli. I agree with her that this man has already been the POS. He didn't have the financial money to basically act out his sick perversion, polygamy mindset. It's just sick. It's ugh. You heard about this already, Ellen? Yeah, it's a sick case, girl. It's ugh. Hi everyone, and I already talked to my Daniel. But I like this part right here where Ellen was saying, someone tried to tell me that the polygamy is his sexuality, like it's like being gay or something. That or no disabling or respect. If you playing around with it, better include your partner. Exactly, Ellen. So, I mean, I'm just going to say my personal preference, I'm not for polygamy. And any guy try to come with me for that polygamy stuff will be shot down. But if people are into that sick way, at least you need to talk to your spouse and they need to be on board. And you have to be willing to let your partner do the same thing. It needs to be reciprocation. Stop with this whole submission of saying, oh, you can do it, but she can't. It don't work that way, honey. If you think you can engage in that little sick perversion, polygamy stuff, then your wife should be able to do it too. And y'all need to communicate. I'm just saying. I'm not for it, though. I'm not endorsing that on this channel. I'm just saying, if you're into that sick stuff, you're going to have to communicate with your partner with that. Like what Ellen was saying. I agree with that. He is a reliable, secure bag. Exactly, Daniel. Say that. Exactly, Daniel. He was a secure bag. He was some extra income. And that man that she was texting, who she was really interested in, that young man probably already knew what was going on. They were both running game on this dude. Just like the Wendy's husband, who's with that younger woman, the woman that he had affair with for years, she had her a younger man who she was really interested in. And she was taking the money that Wendy's ex-husband was giving her, and she was spending that money on her younger man. They were sharing the money, laughing at Wendy's husband all the way to the bank. That's what the main story you'll hear all the time with these younger women. It's because you got a bag. Like Daniel said, they're secure in the bag. He was 31 when she was born. Exactly, Dinah, that's sick. Isn't it? A newborn, I can't even think about it, Dinah, girl. Right. Yes, act naturally. What'd you think about this story, act natural under pressure? Yeah, it is ridiculous. It is, isn't it? He did his wife dirty, but now she gets the whole bag. Exactly, Dinah. The karma, right? The karma. Did his wife dirty, and now she is in the bank enjoying the rest of the money. All right. I don't know if they use some of that money to pay for his legal fees, though. I don't know how much money that money's left, though, Dinah. We don't know, girl. Yep, money simply magnifies who you already are. Exactly, Chanelli. Preach. Hi, Angela. Oh, my goodness. I miss you. I wish I could do a virtual hug to Angela, girl. I haven't talked to you in a couple of months. Oh, my goodness. It's so good to see your name. I can't say see you because I can't see you, but so good to see your name. Oh my gosh, I remember that story. She was a leasing agent at an apartment complex, I think. Right, Angela, she was. Wasn't she just a sweet girl, the leasing agent? But I looked more into that story, and there was a financial component to it. So that really was where I started noticing the root issue for why he was more enraged with her versus the other woman that he had threw the weight. He threw a weight in this other woman's window when she rejected him at another apartment complex, but he didn't go far to take that woman's life. And I really think the root issue there was he didn't have a financial investment or financial interest in the other woman. So that's why he let her live. He couldn't take rejection either, so he did do some crazy stuff of throwing a weight into her window, but he didn't take an extra step of taking her life, because he didn't have a financial interest in the other woman. Whereas the 19-year-old leasing agent girl, he was spending money on her. She said it, she told her family about it, and there was text messages showing that he was basically giving his life savings. This man was spending bank on her. And she put on her Instagram or whatever live she had a social media where she was like bragging about some man spending money on her. And it was pretty huge amount of money on her. So that's when I was like, oh, that was where the anger and the rage came, and it magnified it to taking her life. Very sad, tragic story. That one had me sad for a while. Yeah, her brain wasn't even fully developed. Exactly, Angela. So she wasn't mature enough to make the right decisions. Exactly, Angela. She wasn't. So we're not blaming her or anything. I'm just saying and she was a beautiful young lady. I'm just saying, speaking generally, to say, be careful. That's just a story we can use to say, be careful about accepting money from men. It's a very, very dangerous thing. You think that it's so innocent, but money, when it comes to man and they're putting money on you, they're investing in you. Men are very selfish. So their money is connected to their heart. So the more money they spend on you, the more their heart is invested. So that's when those two commingle. The heart and the money commingle. They're one. So when you start messing with that and the more money they're putting into you, the more their heart is invested in the situation. And if you decide you're not interested, you got to be very careful. Make sure the man you're dealing with is a rational man, because if he's not, you're going to end up with a Mr. Heel. Here on the left screen, left side here. That type of enraged man, because he put all this money on her, expected her complete 100% loyalty, despite the fact that he was a married man, sharing her, reducing her down, I can't keep saying it, to a hotel room. Okay, girl. It's a scary world out there. I'm glad I'm single and don't even date. Girl, too scary nowadays. We have to be extra safe. Girl, people used to say that in the chat, and I'd be like, girl, you don't have to be scared today. But now, Angela, girl, you are preaching right now. You are preaching right now. And the thing with the woman, people like men and women think differently. So men, they have to have a woman. You notice if a man breaks up with a woman, they immediately are in the bed with another woman with the same day. They cannot be alone. You notice how the scripture said it's not good for a man to be alone. It's true. Men in reality, they can't be alone. If they have a breakup, within the next few minutes, they are texting the next woman. They always have somebody on the backup. They always got a backup. Women, on the other hand, you notice when they have a breakup, most of the time, They'll be hurt, they'll cry it out, they'll talk to their friends. They might even still take a little break. Not all of them. Some women will be dating another man too, but if a woman's rational and she is secure in herself, she will, be hurt. She'll be single for a little bit and she'll be cool and then she'll date again. That's a rational woman who has self-confidence, because a woman has the ability to be able to be alone and be happy. I know it sounds weird, but they do. And men can't understand that. So they think, oh, these women out here have all these standards and they're going to die alone. Sometimes that's not a punishment. Actually, psychological research shows that some people who are single end up more happy. I know it sounds weird. Because society teaches you and conditions you to hurry up and get married. But a lot of these people who hurry up and get married because society's expectations, they end up in these really horrible, toxic relationships with these sick, misogynist or just sick, abusive men who want to be polygamous, and they end up miserable, and then they end up in divorce. And we know the statistics in America is awful as it relates to marriages. There's a huge rate of divorce. So in reality, like Angela's saying, it's good to be single and wait till you meet the right person and really vet the people that you're with. Learn what is in their mind, learn how they react to certain situations. You need to really study that man before you decide to walk down the aisle, especially in this time. We are in a very sick, weird, just perverted time, guys. It's sick. The stuff that's going on, it's almost like Angela is saying, it's almost better to be single. It's just weird. I know it's like, you don't want to say that because you sound like you're a bitter person, but you're not. It's just like, it's the reality. It's just the reality of things. Sometimes when you're with the wrong person, you're probably better off being single than be with that wrong person. So yes, date. Yes, look for your spouse, but you need to be more careful not to be so quick to let your emotions cloud your judgment, and really study these men, study how they are reacting. Vice versa with the men too. Study the women you're dating as well, because there's men in the chat. Men, study the women, because there could be some crazy women out there. There's crazy women out there too. The thing is too, men are so focused on the external. If you look hot, you got a nice body. Daniel, put in the chat what you look for in a woman. We'll see what Daniel says. But some of the women there get so focused on the external and they don't look in the heart, and these women end up being very toxic, sick women. I mean, look at what happened to Christian Toby. He ended up with this woman that had the external features he wanted. She was Caucasian. She had a beautiful body. She was extremely gorgeous. And she had some money, basically. But inside, she was poisoned. She was abusive. She was aggressive. She had drug problems. She had alcohol issues, allegedly. And she was horrible. And she took this man's life. And he went a whole year being abused physically. This man was involved in domestic violence. He was a victim of domestic violence for a whole year. And he was willing to lose his life over his preference. He lost his life because of how she looked. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Men and women need to stop using their clouded judgments to just get in a relationship because society's expectations or lust or whatever. And if you really are looking for long term, you need to take your time. Okay? Society's expectations are landing people in these very sick, sad, polluted relationships, and you end up not even being happy. So what did you do? You satisfied society's expectations, you got married, but now you're more miserable than you were when you were single. So what really did you gain? You gained this external image of being married with kids, but you're miserable. Every time you come home, you don't want to go home because you're unhappy with the person you're with every day. Because you wanted to hurry up, rush and get married because you're getting older, whatever your whole reasoning was. And now you're with this man or woman that is awful to you, that doesn't even treat you right, that tears you down, that is poison to your mind. So it's like we really need to think. So what Angela's saying, she brought up a whole a whole topic that I just like, girl, you are right, girl. Woo! Like she said. Glad I'm single. Girl, Angela, how do you feel? Are you happy with your single status? Tell us how you feel. Like, do you feel more at peace? Have you been in a bad relationship before and then now you're single? Do you feel like you're more at peace? Like, give us some a perspective, because you said you're glad you're single. So what is the benefits in your mind of single life until you meet the right person, basically? But it's kind of scary to even date. I'm just saying. Some of these people will come out so sweet and loving. Look at this guy, this POS guy who was working at the plant. He probably was so sweet and loving to his wife when he was working at that plant and didn't have a lottery. You can marry this man. Like, she married him thinking he was the one girl. He was so loving. He was supportive. He was a faithful man, went to work every day, brought home the baking. And as soon as he got that money, this whole mask came off. The real person came out. So it's like she probably was with him that whole time thinking she married the right man, and now realized she married a monster who was hidden, who had this mask on. So it's like, you got to just really be careful, y'all. You got to be careful. You got to be watchful. In another news report, the victim was actually said to be asleep, according to the autopsy. Yep, she was, Dinah. She had no clue. So sad. Yeah, exactly, Dinah. So she was asleep. You're right. She was asleep when he was rummaging through her phone, found the text message, and then he shot her in the head. So she wasn't even aware. It's just alleged she never woke up. That was probably the only good part of this, is that she didn't suffer. But still, it's sad. Dang. And yeah, she was pretty, Angela. Yeah, virtual hug, Angela. My people that we go way back, like Ellen and Angela. Those are my family. You guys are my family. We go way back. No, way back to earlier this year. Isn't that funny? We go way back. Yeah, we have to be careful, you guys. Be prayed up. That's true. Men always have to have somebody. They do. They can't be alone. I mean, there's studies on it. I'm telling you, as soon as they break up, girl, they are on the text message with the next woman. They have them lined up. They'll just pretend to have those people as friends. Well, nowadays they're pushing the polygamy. They're just outright doing it. But back in the day, they would have these women that are just their friend, quote unquote, and they're building this emotional connection with them. So as soon as you break up with them, they got a whole new relationship the next day on Facebook with a new woman. In a relationship. You like, didn't we just break up yesterday? And he got in a relationship with the new woman on the profile. And you like, how did that happen? Because he was already working on her. He just had her in the line waiting, because they can't be alone. You know, we'll be at home crying and stuff over some dude with our friends saying, girl, you know what Johnny did? Yeah, girl. And they might be single for a little bit, get their life together. You know, they'll improve themselves, maybe get a new job, get some type of elevation, and then they get a new man. But there's just a difference with the way men process breakups versus women. Men cannot be alone. They got to have someone at all times. Okay, so it says, females don't, we do us. Right, Angela, and can be happy, especially a Christian, because you know men just want one thing most of the time. Exactly, Angela. Most of them do, even in the church. And the thing is, it happens more so in the church because that is something that's suppressed so much, meaning sexual desires and you know, expression of that. It's so suppressed. It's like looked down upon in the church. So when something is constantly looked down upon or suppressed or told you can't do it and stuff like that, it makes it more coveted. It's more desirable. So it happens a lot in the churches. People are sleeping around and with husbands and wives and all kinds of weird stuff going on in church. They're molesting people, molesting kids, just all kinds of sick things. And it's all coming out because what God said is coming. What's done in the dark will come to the light. So all these different churches, you're noticing things are coming out. T.D. Jakes' church. We see what happened in the Kirk Franklin family and Jamal's family and all the other pastors. There's so many pastors, guys. I don't know all the names. I lost names, but there are so many. Just Google it. There's so many lights coming out. The perversion is coming out of all the sick stuff that's been going on for decades in these churches. It's just sick. You got to be prayed up. I definitely encourage, you know, serving God, because I'm telling you, serving God has been one of the best things I've ever done. But you have to be prayerful. You have to be a person of discernment. You can't just blindly follow people who are convincing. So many people are so good with words. They're so good with manipulating the scriptures. They'll shout, hoot, and holla and put on this huge performance and draw you in, and you will blindly succumb to these people. And they're really sick wolves in sheep clothing. You got to have your own relationship with God. You got to be led by the Holy Spirit, and you got to be watchful, and you cannot blindly listen to what they're teaching you. You got to know the word for yourself and test and try the spirits. That's what the word of God says. Test and try. Because the evilness is everywhere, y'all. It's in the churches. It's in these men coming out with this polygamy agenda that I told you is starting out right now. We're in the beginning stages of this polygamy thing. It's a polygamy movement. Right now, they're trying to get the women on board. They're trying to brainwash the women. Kevin Samuel started it. Now there's like tons of YouTuber black men out here. They're black men in the manosphere. They're out here preaching this polygamy to get the women on board. Some of them are saying, let's just forget about the women here in America. Let's just go out into the other countries and do the polygamy over there. Let's just bring a bunch of, women from other countries, marry them out there. So there's different ways they're applying it, but they're trying to start this, the beginning foundational stage of it. And once you start noticing women being brainwashed because they feel so desperate, they feel like because society conditions them to be married, and if you're not married, you're considered a failure in life. And so these men are brainwashing because they know women are very emotional. So we can be, sometimes if you are not a woman of strength and you have to be able to control those emotions, if you are not and you allow your emotions to rule your behavior, then you can be easily drawn in and manipulated by these men and think, okay, I have to engage in polygamy in order to get a man, in order to satisfy society's expectations of me being a married woman with kids. You have to be strong in yourself. You have to have so much confidence in yourself that if you do not end up married, unfortunately, because you can't find a qualified partner, you have to be happy in that and accept that. And that's difficult for some people to be able to do. Some people can't do that. So you got to work on yourself first. You got to be so strong in yourself and independent, like Angela is saying that she's happy single, because you got to master that first. Once you're happy and able to function on your own, then you're ready to start looking for a spouse, because you're more logical, objective, and you can really vet the people that you're dating. You can really analyze and really see if they're right for you. But if you're a type of person where you have not really identified yourself and became strong within yourself as an individual, a single person, then you won't be able to really fend off the deceptions that are going to be coming and that's already manifesting. You won't. You'll be sucked into the illusion. And you'll be weakened by the brainwashing that they're doing right now. Men are very good at what they do because they know that women are the emotional gender. And they work on the emotions. They're very smooth with their words, very sly and cunning. So you have to be so confident and sound. So someone like Angela, like she was saying, she's been happy single. She's not going to be one of those women that's going to be able to be manipulated, because she's already mastered singlehood. She's mastered being able to be on her own and be happy in that and be content in who she is. So if a man come to her with that polygamy stuff, she gonna be like, no, thank you. That's not in part of my boundaries and the standards that I have in my list. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep it moving because I'm happy with or without you, sir. That's what you have to learn first, is master singlehood. Because there's a lot of sick men like this man on the screen right here who are looking for you, especially when you're young. There's these older men they've been around with so many women that they've learned the whole way of manipulating younger women. They know, they have it cracked down to a T because they've been with so many women. They've been practicing it. They've had failures. They've had up and downs. They've been with different women. So now they've learned things and they can say what they can do to control the mindset of the younger women. That's why they target younger women, because they can be easily manipulated. They're very gullible. So you have to master this. Once you master that, and once you master being able to love yourself despite society's expectations, you become unbreakable, unmovable. And you have to try and test the spirits out there, because there is some sick stuff happening. This story is an example of the many things that we're seeing happening all around throughout the country, probably around the world, All right, Angela, I think God is protecting me by the guys I meet, because usually if they aren't the right one, we don't talk that long. Exactly, Angela. Girl, see, this woman right here, she's a seasoned woman. She said, the Lord is protecting her. They don't even get a chance. They try to roll. Like I said, I just told you, I didn't even read her comment yet. But this woman, she is she's so sound. She's so grounded that even if a man try to roll up on her with that game, she's going to be like, The Lord gonna be like, nope, Angela, keep it moving, girl. It's not the one. You gotta, like us as women, we gotta master that too. She's a great example of what I'm trying to say is that you gotta master that singlehood, master your relationship, your own personal relationship with God. I'm not pushing religion. I'm pushing your personal relationship with God and your own unilateral relationship with Him, because He will be able to guide you too. He gives you direction. And Angela, you're right. I could attest to that, girl, because the same thing happens to me. I'm telling you, when I be dating these guys, girl, the red flags be screaming. I'd be like, God, but I only dated him for. You're like, nope, he's not the one, girl. I'm like, man, him either. But I'm with you, Angela. I feel I'm more focused on other things, just enjoying myself and making myself happy by working and making money. And then if I meet someone, God sends me, it's cool. Exactly. I wish I could like highlight your comment, Angela, because that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, she's speaking exactly the principles I'm trying to say here is focus on just empowering yourself. And notice how Kevin Samuels was against mindsets like this. He always was trying to condition women to not, be focused on themselves, not be focused on getting careers. He wanted them to basically not have anything for themselves and become so codependent on the man that they're willing to succumb to whatever poor treatment, polygamy, sick perversion, all the sick stuff that's going on because you don't have your own. But you need to have your own. You need to empower yourself so that you can make sound decisions about who you date and who you marry. Hi, Anissa. For me, I'm at peace. It's too many games men are playing. Exactly, Anissa. Don't you notice something weird in the water, guys? Let me know in the chat. Don't you notice just there's a change in just some of the men out here and the things that they're doing? It's just a weird time to date. It's really weird. I just noticed like a shift. Even though we dealt with stuff in the past, but there's a shift that has happened, and it's really dark and sinister. And they're just, men are no longer willing to hide their sickness. They just want to live out their dark, perverted ways all in the open, and they just want you to take it. Just accept it. Accept their polygamy. Accept that they're going to move in 4 or 5 different women, and you just need to take it. I wonder if he was abusive towards his wife. He killed his mistress and threw a weight at another woman. Or maybe he was just aggressive, mean to women who rejected him. Either way, he's dangerous. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Dinah. I was mixing 2 different stories up. So the guy who threw the weight was a whole different story. So that one was related to the woman out in Florida who was 19 years old, and she was dating this guy who was a maintenance man. And he threw a weight in another woman's house. Not this guy, not Mr. Hill. But you're right. He might look at his face. Let's tune on this guy's face. This guy looks like he has a lot of aggression in him. So this can't just be the only time he's been aggressive with this woman. Like you're saying, Dinah, he might have already been abusive to his wife. I wish we could hear from her, but probably not going to ever hear from her. Or maybe he was just aggressive and mean to women who reject. Yeah, you're right. A lot of them are, Dinah. It's a huge, like I said, something weird in the water or something. But a lot of men, they've been rejected for so many years and they don't deal with the rejection. So now they're becoming angry and they can't accept it anymore. And so they're reacting in violence. They're taking women out left and right. Even men who don't even know you. You could be at a marketplace, at a mall, and I mean, you reject a man and they'll just take you out right there just because you said you weren't interested in giving your phone number. That's why I was saying in my other video, be careful how you reject men too. Just do it. You got to be gentle because their egos are so fragile right now. Like I said, there's something that's happened. Maybe it's been years and years of rejection. I don't know, guys. But it's like they can't accept any form of rejection. Did you see what Lola Jones put? She's a Christian athlete and made a post about wanting to be married, but she's also waiting for marriage to have sex. And she made a post about God not hearing her. Oh, that's sad. No, I didn't. But I'm going to look it up, Angela. Wow. Yeah, waiting for marriage can be a difficult thing because we're dealing with an era where there's just a lot of perversion. So you have to be so grounded in God and make up your mind so much that you're willing to understand that your expectation may not be met. You may not, I'm not saying that's not going to happen. God is faithful, but I'm just saying you may have to wait longer because that man who is willing to wait is really hard to find. It's like it's a needle in a haystack. Or you need to really find a man who has the same mindset as you, if you're believing Christian or whatever principles. You need to find a man that is in the church. And I mean, not just in the church, because there's a lot of perverted people in the church, but someone who's legitimately practicing what they are talking about. And you have to find someone that's on the same grounding as you. So you got to be in a certain right environment. So it's sad that she's going through that, but I hope that she can just have faith in God and keep going, because I feel what she's doing is the right thing. There's so much STDs going around, guys. These men are out here engaging in all these polygamy and just sick stuff, and they're not willing. They don't want any type of protection, especially the black man, guys. That's why you look it up, the statistics, a high rate of STDs with black men. Huge, because they don't want to wear protection. They don't. And so they want to mix, dibble and dabble with all these different women, polygamy, and they're not using protection. And most of them do not go to the doctor, guys. They are not going to get checkups. So they are passing all these STDs around in the black community. So you got to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. Anissa, the church, that's a whole other issue. Right, Anissa. Girl, have you seen all the crazy stuff happening in the church lately? There's tons of churches being exposed. And all of it has to do with perversion, cheating, affairs, molestation. It's all related to sex in the church. It's just sick. Be careful. Be careful. And I'm a woman that goes to church, but I'm very careful and prayerful where I go. Led by the Holy Spirit. You got to be led. And you have to independently know the word of God on your own. You cannot rely. But the issue is people get caught up in cults because they don't study for themselves. They become codependent on these preachers who are very, very cunning. They use the hooping and hollering, and they use the scriptures to manipulate you. So you have to know the word for yourself. That's what I was teaching. I teach on my channel. Ellen, who goes way back, Angela, they go way back with me. We go over the Bible and stuff. And one of the things that I teach is you have to study and know the word for yourself. You have to come there already equipped, knowing the word, so you can question and try and test what these preachers are telling you, because if you don't, you will easily be sucked into some of the sick stuff that's going on in these churches. Very, very prayerful. Very, very prayerful. Yeah, this polygamy stuff, guys, is sick. It is very sick. Yes, having standards and self-love. Exactly, Anissa. I wish Chesley would have listened to you, girl. She may still be here. I know, I wish I would have talked to her. I was, following her when she was alive. Maybe I could have met her one day, because we're in pageantry. I probably would have met her one day, given that I do pageants, but never got to meet her. Man. But my spirit tells me, the more I pray about Chesley, Angela, is she was dealing with a deeper form of mental illness than, the average person. I think she might have had an undiagnosed, in my opinion, bipolar or some type of medical condition. As I've been praying more about the Chesley story, I've been in deep prayer about it. And the more I look into her story, I really feel that she had a deep-rooted mental condition, but I don't think anyone really diagnosed her or helped her with it. And so it went untreated. It went untreated, and it was so overpowering over her that even though she had all these people around, family and everything, this depression became all-consuming. It was really, she needed a mental diagnosis and mental treatment, but I don't think she ever got the real mental. She went to therapy and stuff, but I don't think they really diagnosed her. I think she had a really severe mental health condition she was battling. As I was praying more about it, it's very sad. So just like merely talking to her, encouraging her, that wouldn't have been enough. She would have needed like more of a mental treatment, someone to, maybe put her on a medication, maybe to help her with her prescription, help her with her mental health condition. I really think so, because she was battling with this even as a kid. I think she was dealing with the depression for a long time, and to the fact where she had like an anti kind of social personality. She was very, very, very connected to her mother, but she kind of was uncomfortable with the outer world. She had friends, but she really, any form of betrayal, she took it to a deep core of hurt and pain and torment more than the average person. So, maybe you might be heartbroken by something and you might be able to move on. She wasn't able to do that. It hurt her all the way down to the very center of her soul, and she carried all this pain. So it's like years and years and years of heartbreak, and then you become very bitter and heartbroken, and you don't know how to deal with it. And she really hurt so deeply when people did things to her, like very deeply. That's why I really feel like that breakup too really, really, though, it did her in so bad. And then the worst part about it is she was so afraid to tell people because she knew that she was battling something deeper than just a mere, depression. And she felt ashamed about it. So she covered it up. And the more you cover up something, the more tormenting it becomes to you. Like when you hide something, the more magnified it becomes. So I feel really sad for the Chesley thing. I was just talking about that the other day, y'all. I was in prayer about that. I'm like, and the Lord was showing me stuff about poor Chesley. Poor Chesley was a tormented soul. It's very sad. The stuff we talked about Chesley for a while, but the more I think about her story, it is more sad and deeper form of depression than we really got to go into about her story. We didn't really go into the deep parts of the pain she dealt with. And it was so bad that it was like even her mother, no one around her could really help her. Even if she came to them, no one could. She felt in her heart. It was very deep. Very sad story, guys. Very sad. Sorry, I got off topic. Sorry. Sorry, Angela. That story really hits home with me because me and Chesley, man, we had so much in common. Okay. Yeah, he looks angry. Look at the rage in this man's face. He's still enraged. He is still enraged. He is enraged because she was texting another man. That's the face of anger because she was texting another man. And his face is like, yep, I killed her. I sure did. How dare me invest all this money into this woman for over a year and she go and take my investment and text some other man? That is a face of lack of remorse. Lack of any form. And he is still in that prison cell feeling like he did the right thing. That's a narcissist. That's someone sick, sociopath type person. He doesn't feel any empathy at all for what he did. Yes, Lola Jones. She's an Olympian athlete. I'm going to look her up, Angela. She's 40. She wants kids, to be married. She feels time is running out for her. I felt so bad, but she put the post in about it. Oh, I'm going to look her up, Angela. I'm going to look her up. We might do a story on her. That would be a good one to talk about. Because I know what she's going through, girl. I know what she's going through. But if you're going to be willing to live that life, you got to be willing to live the sacrifice and know, because sometimes we have this unrealistic expectation when we are going to wait till marriage that we're going to get this fairy tale ending. That's the thing, the expectation. You got to understand that if you're willing to go that route, that you may or may not get the fairy tale ending, because there's just a lot of sick stuff. We're in a different generation. We're with a lot of just sick people out there who are just so moved and controlled by the flesh, especially men. And you got to be willing to say, I may not get the fairy tale ending. I may have to adopt kids instead of have kids. If you're going to, she's 40 now, may have to adopt kids. You'll still get you can still there's kids out there who need parents. But, we might want to go into her story and really kind of talk about her. I'll look at her and see more about her, Angela. I feel that's another good reason to be single when you're waiting for marriage and aren't sexually active. Men don't want these days. Right. They don't. Remember if you guys watched Kevin Samuels, before he passed away, there was a woman on there who was a Christian woman, and she talked about she was waiting till marriage, and he was going in on her, telling her she needs to go to church and stuff. He was giving her some legit advice that she should be at a church. I agree with that. You should be at a church around men who are believing like you. You should, because that's the only way you're going to find someone who is equally minded like you. So I agree with them on that. But some of his other lives, he was very, very horrible to women who were not giving it up. They're waiting. He's like, you need to be giving that up. He would be like basically criticizing the woman and say, you need to be giving that up. You shouldn't be over here waiting and holding back. Like he just really big on that. And that's what he's trying to do, is get these women to not wait, just to give it up or whatever. But you should have standards. But you have to be willing to understand there's certain consequences with those standards, that we're in a darker world. So you have to be willing to stand strong in those standards, even if you may not get the fairy tale ending. I'm sorry. We're in a dark situation. We're not in the back in the days where we had men, because the issue is too, there's so many women out there that are willing to give it up. And so when you're that one person who is doing the right thing, in my opinion, I'm totally for waiting till marriage. I'm totally for that. But I'm saying, if you're willing to stand for what's right, you have to understand that in the marketplace, we're going to use Kevin Samuel's language. In the marketplace, there's women out there giving it out for free on the first night. So what do you think men are going to choose? So you have to be willing to say, okay, there's a bunch of men in the market that I'm not going to be able to date. I need to date men that are in the more smaller percentage who are willing to wait, who are the high value men, in my opinion. Not financially, but mentally, spiritually. And those men are, sometimes in the church, but sometimes they aren't. I'm just saying. But you have a better chance of finding them in the church. I'm sorry. And there's a mixed breed in the church, so you're going to come across perverts in the church, so you're going to have to really sift through the church. But I'm just saying you have a better shot if you're waiting till marriage to find someone that's in the church, because you'll be able to sift through some of the sick men in there to find the one that's actually willing to wait for you. I'm just saying you got to really look at the market, figure out where you are, find out if the man has the same mindset as you. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, her name is Lolo Jones, not Lola. Okay, Lolo. Okay, I'll have to look her up, Angela. Oh, her mom has a new puppy. Have you seen the puppy? It's so cute. Oh, who, Angela? Lolo or Chesley? Females like us belong in a different time, girl. Exactly, Angela. I don't know what time there were women waiting for marriage and faithful men. Girl, Angela, girl, I'm in the same boat. I don't want to put all my business on YouTube, but I'm totally for people waiting. In other words, a needle in a haystack. Exactly, Angela. Okay, Chesley, she has a new dog. Oh, I gotta look that up. Oh my gosh. See, that's what Chesley wanted. Chesley wanted a cat. And when people are dealing with, mental illness like that, so severe, it could have helped her to have like a little cat, and she was going to get one, but she never got it, man. So maybe Chesley's mom is kind of getting the dog as a way of like carrying out one of the things that Chesley maybe wanted. I mean, Chesley wanted a cat, but at least she got a dog to kind of like help her through this mental torment that she's going through. But like you said, Angela, yeah, we should have us a little group, girl. We need people who are in that type of mindset, who are empowered women like that. We need a support group, because it's very, very rare. We need people that can build you up. That's why people have churches, because you go to church so that you can empower yourself and other believers, and you guys, are there and you equally believe the same. We need support groups for women who are willing to stand in those standards, even if they may not get the fairy tale ending. That's the thing. You got to work on your mind, because you have to understand the issue sometimes is when you're having those standards, you have an unrealistic expectation that if you wait, you're going to find the fairy tale ending. Sometimes you won't, especially in this dark era that we're dealing with. You may not get the fairy tale ending, but you got to be so strong in your mindset and build your own happiness in where you are in your current status. Because once you first build that confidence within yourself, then you can start thinking rationally when you're dating. If you haven't mastered that independent aspect, you're going to be sucked into some sick man who wants polygamy, because that's really what's going on right now. Polygamy is the new thing, guys. It is going to become a huge thing. It's now developing in the YouTube era, but it is going to spread into society once they start getting more women on board. I'm just telling you guys. Just go on YouTube. Go on YouTube and look up some of these Black manosphere. You'll notice some of the little seeds they're feeding you guys. Health is wealth, girl. Yes, I think staying healthy is the most important thing in life, just taking care of yourself. Exactly, Angela. I put my health above my wealth. I'm always working on my mental health. I'm always working on my spiritual health. I'm always working on, exercise, all that. That's my first priority. Like Angela's saying, I'm right with you, girl. I am with you. But that's the thing in our society, what we were learning, back then about mental health, and we're still learning that, Angela, is we put our mental health or our health in period. We put that on the back burner. That's not even a priority. Our focus is on getting money, getting a spouse, getting accolades. However order you have that in. People have different orders of how they do that, but that's our priority in this society. Money, accolades, spouse. That's it. And so we neglect the most important part of our life, which is our health. That's why people are dying. Black people are dying. Very young. Look at Kevin Samuels. He died at 53 years old. He should not be dead, guys. He should not. But we're dying because we're neglecting the most important thing, our health. That's why I'm always like pushing that a lot on this channel is about mental health and, you know, talking about the self-conclusions and how we can work on our mental health. And I'm constantly working on mental health with this group because it's important. It should be number one. We should be working on that. And if your mental health is not working, like I said, if you're not strong within yourself, like we're talking about with Angela, there's different aspects to health. Health is mental health, but also internal confidence, knowing self-awareness, knowing who you are, knowing what your values are, what your boundaries are, and standing strong on those values. And the only way you can stand strong on those values is if you have strong confidence and self-awareness. You have to have that. If you don't, you'll succumb to the men like this man right here. Right here. You'll get one of these. And I don't want to see any more women die. I don't. At least the people in my group. If y'all in my group, we're going to be equipped. We're going to be knowledgeable, educated, and our men too. Our men in our group are going to be knowledgeable because we're teaching for both genders. Because men need to be aware too, because these little pretty girls that they're all running after, a lot of them are toxic too. They utilize the looks to get what they want, and they end up abusing these men. So it's both sides. I need to emphasize that because people keep thinking I'm in some hate group of manosphere. I'm not in any side, guys. I don't care about manosphere, women's sphere, plastic fear, whatever fear it is. I don't care. I just like talking about topics that are affecting our community and how we can learn lessons from it. If anybody knows from my very beginning stages, we're always trying to figure out lessons to learn so that we can live a better life. These different stories are here so we can learn from them and we can change our personal ways so that we can live a long, fruitful life, happy life. Do you think he made it to heaven? I wonder if Kevin had a relationship with God. Girl, Angela. I don't like, this is the thing about me. I don't like talking about where somebody ends up. I personally don't feel it's my place to even discuss that topic. So I normally stay away from that topic. But there is a man on YouTube. I don't know his name, but I'll if I find out his name, Angela, I will go do a video or something. I'll let you know. But there's a man, Angela, on YouTube who is very spiritually in tune. If you guys know who I'm talking about, put it in the chat. This man, he is very highly prayerful, and he, on his YouTube, he goes over the lives of God gives him visions of different celebrities and people who've passed away, and God tells them where these people end up. And it's scary. He shows this guy visions, and this guy did a vision on Kevin Samuels. Has anybody heard of this dude? I forgot his name. I wonder if I can figure out this guy's name. Let's see if I can find him, guys. I don't know if I can. I don't remember his name. But I was just surfing through YouTube, and this man, his whole YouTube is devoted to like hearing from God, and he goes over different people. One thing, I don't want to tell you where he said Kobe went. And I was like, when he's told the story of what God showed him, I literally lost it, y'all. I was in here shouting, no. I was like, no, you're lying in the name of Jesus. Because he says that he hears from God. Man. Oh, what this guy's name speaks about. Hopefully I can find this guy. But he goes over different celebrities, and God, there he is, this dude. His name is right here. I don't want to play it, guys, because I don't like talking about this. Because I believe.
Man, let's talk about
this dude right here. Let me see. I'll give you his name so you guys can look him up. His name is Mac Praise. Let me see if I could get his. So his name is spelled M-A-C space P-R-A-Y-Z. This dude right here. Okay, maybe I'll play it for you guys. I just didn't want to play it. Who wants me to play it? Let me know if you want me to play it or not. Right, Anissa. If you know better, do better. Oh, wow, God, if you guys want me to play this, let me know, because I really have a standard of I don't like talking about where people go, because that's a scary topic to try to tell where someone went. So if y'all want me to play it, I will. But this man is on YouTube. God gives him visions of where people end up after they pass away. I don't know if what he's saying to be true. Okay, if you guys want me to play it, I'll play it.
God did give me a little open vision. And I found out how he passed. I was talking about this to a good friend. To be honest, I feel a sadness. He died having sex. Certain accusations or whatever you may hear about. This kind of stuff he was in when he was dealing with women. Prostitutes, all kind of stuff or whatever. I'm gonna tell you something. Before he died, 2 days before he died, matter of fact, I used to see some of the stuff, like little clips, TikTok, whatever. Man was just, I don't know what kind of fella that was. He was probably angry because he got divorced a couple times, so he wanted to beat down women and degrade them and all that kind of stuff, and try to manipulate it in a way, saying like, hey, y'all women want y'all looking for this type of man. What's wrong with a man on this type of woman? See, the thing with that is, we are men. Men are made to handle. I ain't saying now women can't handle stuff, but our body structure and frame, we just built to do different jobs. It's just certain things, you're gonna have to handle as a man. He wanted a robot. He wanted perfection, and he can't get it. And how he died having sex. And I asked Lord. I didn't know. I was Lord. And when I heard, I felt safe, because I knew. People may say, oh, every time you talk about somebody went to hell. But you know what? If I got on here and say I seen Paul, the apostle, y'all don't want to hear that. So that's why God be showing certain things, because y'all love to hear about hell and stuff. Y'all love to hear about what happened, folks. Think about it. If I went on here and said, I know some of y'all be want to hear how Paul look, but I bet you it get away. It ain't about views, and God know it ain't about views when it comes to me, but he knows that there's certain things he can show people and that y'all will grasp onto a little longer, a little more. Because I sit and tell you I saw Moses, yeah, you're probably like, yeah, I'm Moses. Look, but if I sit here and told you, man, I went in and stayed in the kitchen, y'all be having them all packed out. But that's why God be showing something. He wants you to know hell is real. Hell is real, and people do go there. And when you end up going there, there ain't no way out. But I seen, before I found out he died, having sex, I went to the bathroom. I was about to make a video. I was watching the movie. I said, I'm going to make a video, talk about it. I went and asked the Lord, what happened to me? What a man is. I saw the man, like sometimes God can just show me something. When I'm not asleep, sometimes, not often, because most of the time I go to sleep. But I saw he had some, oh snap, come on with it. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. But I saw he had some chains around his wrist. And he was being pulled. He was being pulled in his tongue. And he was looking like, where I'm at? What's going on? And man, lo and behold, and I heard screaming. And I heard him say, I'm sorry, Lord, I'm sorry, Lord, I'm sorry, Lord. And I'm going to tell you something. You cannot live this life however you want. And people say, how you know it went to hell? Man, let me tell you something, dog. Let me tell you something. I didn't even know he died having sex, but let me tell you something. when the Bible said the wicked do not know when they die. He didn't. His same way he was living, he probably thought he was gonna get old and stuff. The same way he was living before he died, that was the same way his mindset was before he died. That's how it was when he died. It was no different. He did not know he was about to die. He was having sex with a prostitute. He did not know he was gonna die. So this is the thing about us Christians. He's a good man. It don't matter. His teachings are just like the teaching of Buddha or whatnot. They probably taught certain things good, but their life did not glorify God. You may talk about cleanliness. You may talk about, and I ain't trying to judge nobody and all that kind of stuff, but the Bible said righteous man judge all things. Let me tell you how it is. I don't care if you like them or not. And then how he talked about, women and stuff like that, and I ain't just talking about, he just talking to he was, in a way, he was breaking women down, making them seem so insignificant and stuff like that. And God didn't play with that, man. Man had a heart attack, died, and had sex with a prostitute. And everything that he did, he thinking about it right now. Every word that he said, he thinking about it right now. And ain't no way out. Can't repent, can't turn back, can't do none of that. Did not know he didn't know he about to die. What he had in his mind, he about to have sex, do his thing, get up. And that's the danger of being without Jesus. You think that it's just certain people. And the only reason, and I'm going to tell you like this, I heard he was in church too. See, God don't play about people that know him and do something different. God don't play about that. You get it worse. When you know about God and you do your own thing and turn away, I ain't talking about you just slip up. I'm talking about when you like, man, I'm doing my own thing. You ain't no good no more.
That's crazy, huh, guys?
Man, let's talk about.
That's crazy. And something about this thing that he says, I get the chills every time I hear him say it, because to me, he might be right, y'all. I feel like he may be right. I get the chills. I don't know how y'all felt about that, what you think, but that man saw a vision and he saw Kevin Samuels in hell. God's not playing. Oh yeah, he has one on his page about Kobe too. Girl, you got to be really prayed up if you want to see that one. You got to be prayed up on that one, because he says some stuff in there that will be very heartbreaking. I don't recommend that one unless you really are willing to listen and have the strength to listen to, because it's very heartbreaking to hear about the daughter too. Girl, when he talks about the daughter, it was, I literally cried, because I feel like this guy may really hear from God, in my opinion. His name, this is his YouTube though, if you want to go on there, it's called Mac Praise. He talks about all kind of people, guys. He talks about all kind of people on there, Angela. All your different celebrities on there, girl. He got little Dirk. He shows them all kinds of stuff. He even talks about Barack Obama and all these people. Barack Obama's not dead, but I mean, God gives him a vision about different people too. So he's a very spirit-led man. He's my favorite NBA player too, Angela. Mine's too, girl. So I told you I yelled at the screen, girl. I was like, no. I was yelling at the YouTube channel. Like, no, I rebuke that, no. That's what I'm saying. I don't like playing with the whole where people end up and stuff. It's usually not my thing. I just inadvertently ran into this guy, like, on YouTube. Not on purpose. It just, they make suggestions on your YouTube channel. But if you're into that type of stuff and you really want to know, probably go on his channel, see if, just be prayed up, be a woman of discernment, see if, test the spirits. Don't always just accept everything as what it is. Just be prayed up. Oh, Angela, he might even did one on Whitney too. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. You did see it, Angela? Oh, praise God if she's in heaven. Girl, I know, Angela. So like I said, you got to be prayed up, Angela, because if you go on his channel, and I can feel the chills when I hear him speak, like I know it's from God. Like I just know it. I try to deny it and rebuke it, but like my spirit tells me this man is speaking from God. And one thing about God, if you really know his word, if you really study it, God, when you are a type of person, I talked about this in another Another video about Kevin Samuels. You got to be very careful when you're leading his people astray. Very, very, very careful. Because if it's like to the point where you're leading so many people astray, God may have no choice but to allow the enemy to take you out. It happened a lot in the Old Testament. I mean, there was the man that spilled out his, you know what, and he lied about it, and then God took out right then and there, took him out and the other woman who lied. He's like that in the Old Testament. Even though, yes, in the New Testament, he's very forgiving and loving. Jesus died on the cross, but you got to be very careful. And Kevin Samuels was spewing a lot of perversion, the kind of Sodom and Gomorrah lifestyle. You know what he did to Sodom and Gomorrah? He was teaching that. Kevin Samuels was teaching that perversion, 1099, polygamy, and he was deceiving the masses. And that's very, very, and he, you know, got to be very careful with that. Very careful. Because if it becomes so magnified to the point where it's like, God may have to end up allowing. I don't think God is the one that brings it on. He allows the enemy. That's because I think back on Job. And I remember when Satan had to ask God for permission. He had to say, can I, you know, go ahead and oppress him? And if I do, he'll curse you and die. And God gave him the permission. So I think that's kind of how he operates, is he allows the enemy to oppress people. He will allow it. That's what I think. Who knows if it's right? But I'm just looking at Job's story. You interpret the Bible how you interpret it. But that's how I interpreted that story. But if you guys were interested in Mac Praise, go ahead and look him up. But be careful, because some of the stuff he talked about, you may not want to know about some of your favorite celebrities and where they ended up when they passed away. But some about what he talks, I get the chills, y'all. I get the chills. My whole spirit just, woo, woo. All right, guys. So thank you so much for listening to me. You guys have a wonderful night. Angela, maybe he said she's not there because I'm looking at the comments and I'm unsure now. Oops, Angela. Girl, I'm telling you, be careful, girl. You better go be prayed up before you watch his channel, because you might see some things on there. Hi, Eliza Nathaniel. Hi, sweetie. Hi. How are you? I just love my subscribers. I love all y'all. But anyway, Angela, girl, be prayed up. I'm just warning you, girl. Because it had me emotional. I was screaming at the YouTube like, nah, I rebuke that. He did not. Because I like Kobe too. And I was happy when I found out, Angela, that Kobe had gone to church before he left that day. So I was really happy. I was comforted in that, because I thought, okay, he did go to church. So maybe he prayed and stuff and probably repented. Because, you know, when you go to church, sometimes you do your repenting prayer and everything. So I was like, okay, he did that before he went. So I was at peace, because I thought, you know, he has to be in heaven. Him and his daughter. That's what I was thinking. But then when I watched the Mac Praise video, I was like, no. I kept saying, I rebuke that. He went to church. He went to church. I kept saying that. So, Angela, just be prayed up, girl, if you want to watch it, because you may find some things out on there about some of your favorite celebrities that you may not want to hear. I know the Kobe one was heartbreaking, Angela, because Kobe's my favorite basketball player, too. I'm scared of that one. But his daughter, he has to be. I know, I thought that too, Angela. That's why I said I don't know if you want to look at the Kobe one, because you're going to be very surprised about the daughter one. I'm just saying, the daughter one was the more, that one had me in tears. I'm just saying, that one was not, the Kobe one I would not recommend if you, I'm just saying, if you're not like, if you're an empath like me, if you're an empath, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it if you're an empath. If you're, you put yourself in other people's shoes and you can feel their emotions on. Don't do it, because you'll just be sad. I know, Angela. Girl, if you want to watch it, I'm just saying, girl. He talks about the age and everything. There's a certain age where you reach accountability, girl. I'm just saying. Oh, you're an empath, Angela? Girl, don't watch it then. Don't watch it, because you're going to be sad. I'm just saying. I warned you. So if you watch it, don't blame me, girl. Don't be getting mad at me. All right, I love you guys. I know, Angela, don't do it, girl. Because if you're an empath like me, you're going to be really heartbroken. Just saying, girl. That one's an eye-opener. And if you don't know Jesus, after watching him, it will make you repent. The fear of God will be imparted in you when you watch some of his videos. And you could just feel, like, for me, I'm speaking for myself, I can feel that it's from God. I feel this overwhelming sense of warmth to my spirit. Like, I know it's God. And it gives me the chills, like, man, you got to get your life right, y'all. Don't be playing with this God stuff. Stop over being out here preaching all this perversion and sick stuff that God is not for. Because like he said, those people who are preaching these fake lies and perverting the word of God, those people are going to get 10 times the torment in hell versus someone who's just already a worldly person that just out there living, in sin. They're not preaching it. Those that are preaching it and leading people astray, those are the people that are going to get it 10 times worse. 10 times worse. That man is no joke, I'm telling you, Angela. That man, the stuff that he talks about, he is very spirit-led. Mac praise. He is. And the visions that he shows you and what happens if a person ends up in hell, girl, it's no joke. It's no joke. But it will put the fear of God in you, I'll tell you that. I just feel so bad for them. Oh, Gigi, I feel bad for Gigi and Kobe. That's what I'm saying, girl. If you, the Kobe story is not for the sensitive at heart. It's not, because the Gigi part is, like, to me, the more heartbreaking one. I already heard about Kobe, but what he talks about with kids, like certain age, there's a certain age where you reach accountability, even if you are underage in the legal system in America, like they define, under 18 as a child. But in the spiritual realm, when you reach a certain age, even if you're under 18, there's a certain age that you reach that you do reach a form of spiritual accountability, whereby you should, make that unilateral decision to accept Christ into your heart, and decide to serve him. There's a certain age that you do reach that. And if you do reach that age and you do not, give your life to Christ and make those choices, even people who are, even if the world interprets you to be a child, in the spiritual realm, you're not. You're still held accountable. That's, so I'm just saying. All right, guys, you have a wonderful night. Love you. I talked too much. Thank you for being on this live with me. I really appreciate you guys. Just notice how I don't do the whole like, comment, and subscribe, and pay me money and all that, because I'm just here to have nice chats, and I love talking to you guys, and I really appreciate you guys being on these lives to talk about real life issues. All right, love you guys. Take care. Good night.